So it is good that there was public attention brought to this case by the media. That is a good thing because it means that what appeared to be a bunch of people in the DA's office who were friends with the guy at issue, that those people are not the people who end up prosecuting the case. Right? That is a good thing. We want to make sure that law enforcement actually does its job. But it is also true that the media, in cases like this, immediately tend to jump to this is a racial case first and foremost, that this is a case of race. This is undergirded by tweets from people like LeBron James. So LeBron James tweeted out, "We're literally hunted every day, every time we step foot outside the comfort of our homes. Can't even go for a damn jog, man. Like, what the F, man? Are you kidding me? No, man, for real. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, Ahmaud. Rest in paradise, and my prayers and blessings sent to thee." Okay, so this has 302,000 likes. Now, statistically speaking, it is not true that black people are hunted every time they step outside the comfort of their homes. There's a reason we know the names of people to whom this has happened. Right? It's just not statistically true that black people are hunted by white people all across the country. That was true for a long time in American history. Right? That was true during large swaths of Jim Crow when the KKK was basically a legal terror organization. That is not true today. It is just not true that white people are running around the country willy-nilly hunting down black people. It's not statistically true. At the same time, it is very important that law enforcement do its job specifically in order to fight perceptions like this. Now, that doesn't mean that you should make up cases against people, God forbid. We have due process of law in this country, but it looks bad when you have local law enforcement not taking seriously enough allegations that have tape to back them like this. Now, the legal issue in this case really is going to come down to, did they witness this guy commit a crime? If they witnessed this guy commit a crime, and then they tried to stop him, okay, then it can very easily be argued that this is a terrible case in which Arbery was acting in his own self-defense. And once he grabs the gun, then the guy who shot him was also acting in mutual self-defense. But that really depends on whether the citizen's arrest was justified in the first place. If the citizen's arrest was just, we're suspicious of this guy running down the road because we think he looked like the guy from 2 days ago, and we're vigilantes and we're not going to call the cops, and if we do call the cops, we're not going to wait on them. We need to go stop this right now. Then you end up in the case of felony imprisonment / felony murder, right? Which is the case that David French is making. And the statute, again, in Georgia is fairly clear. The statute is fairly straightforward that you have to witness the immediate crime. But when the media immediately jumped to, we know for a fact that this was white guys chasing down a black guy because there was a black guy in a white neighborhood and they decided to go and shoot him that day. Again, the evidence doesn't support the idea that these guys were like out to gun down a black guy that day. It does support the idea, I think much more obviously, that these were overzealous wannabe cops and ex-cops who decided that they were going to be vigilantes that day. And then this thing went wrong and you are guilty for that, right? You're guilty for that. That is a thing that you are guilty for under the criminal laws of the state of Georgia, which is why this is going to go to grand jury and all the facts are going to come out. But to suggest on the basis of the case itself that black people are gunned down every day in the United States, that black people are at tremendous day-to-day risk from normal white people walking down the road, it's not true, which is why, again, this is getting all sorts of national attention. If this were true, that this were happening every single day, you know what the news doesn't report on? Stuff that happens every single day. The reason that this is an outlier case and is getting all sorts of attention is, number one, because we have tape, and number two, because it is a really bad fact pattern. It's a really bad situation. So I would urge everybody to wait for all the facts to come in. I'm glad that the video is out there and that we can all look at it. I've been a fan of dash cams on police officers for a long time and cameras on police officers for a very long time. It seems to me, based on this fact pattern, that it is completely correct for the prosecutor's office to put in a grand jury indictment. I do not know. Trey Gowdy said the same thing on Fox News yesterday. I do not understand why for 2 months there was no indictment put forward, no grand jury case. They will get a defense. They will have a chance to defend themselves in court. That's the way this is supposed to work. The real issue to me, beyond the actual fact pattern of the case, is why the prosecutors didn't go forward. And the implication is going to be they didn't go forward because it was white guy shooting a black man and they don't care. It seems to me that the much more likely scenario is this didn't go forward with an indictment in the first place because everybody was friends with the guy who did the shooting. Right? That basically it was an insider problem in which you had a former member of law enforcement who knew all the DAs. And they were like, would Billy Bob over here, would Jim have really gone out and just randomly shot somebody? Probably he was fine. Probably it was not a big deal. Which, again, is not the way that you pursue law enforcement. And it does undermine the credibility of law enforcement because, baseless or not, the widespread perception that black people are in widespread fashion targeted by white law enforcement in this country, that is undermined, that perception is underscored every time the law enforcement apparatus does not actually go forward with an indictment in cases where it appears an indictment seems to be warranted. So that's where we stand on this, and I'm glad that a grand jury case will go forward on this, and these people should have a chance to defend themselves, because everybody should have a chance to defend themselves. It appears to me that David French's case is pretty strong, that this looks like a felony murder based on people being vigilantes and violation of the law. Facts don't care about your feelings, and it's a fact that The Ben Shapiro Show is the largest conservative podcast in the nation. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all of our content.